Welcome to Courageous Conversation with Theresa W. Campbell, a diversity and racial equity video, radio, podcast show as a gracious, safe space discussion about culture, quality of life, worship and faith, business, work, live, learn, health, play, civil engagement, service, social awareness, and mindfulness. Let's tune in with our host, Theresa W. Campbell.
Hello, everybody. This is your host, Theresa W. Gamble. Just super excited with season 3 in 2023. I'm going to insert a new segment and episodes that may be sporadic. They may show up on Wednesdays or they may show up throughout the week or on the weekend. It depends on the opportunity and what's going on. It's called Teresa's Take on It. This is the social community news about all the social issues that's going on. And many of you know that most of the issues and things that I address is in the state of Florida on the local and state and federal level for BIPOC individuals. That is Black, Indigenous, and people of color. As BIPOC. So if you see that acronym, that's what it stands for. So today I just want to talk about what's going on the local level in Jacksonville, Florida, Duval County. Most of you all may know they do the chant Duval, home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Well, let me tell you about some government issues that's going on. For years, a lot of people thought Jacksonville wasn't segregated, wasn't divided. They always kept it hidden. There's always racial issues that's been going on in the city, being a native here. But lately, they have been, the city council, all of a sudden, for over 2 years, the Black, Indigenous, and people of color have been trying to get these last two Confederate monuments taken down in our city because they represent white supremacy against people of color. Now, the current mayor, Mayor Curry, he's leaving his term in March, his last term, he can't run again, has allocated the money over 2 years ago. It's been publicized on TV. Leonard Fournette, who was on the Jaguars, supported it to take down the monuments because of its history and racial tendencies tied to people of color. The problem is the city council people won't do their job and do it. So they can't. First, it was a money issue. So the mayor fixed that problem. Then it's other people who think the monument should stay up and that they don't mean ill will things. And to me, when you say that and you don't do the history, this is an example of color blindness where people don't want to see the racial undertones and the harshness that people of color ancestors had went through and sustained. So this was an actual demonstration visually. You can Google it. Jacksonville City Council, they launched this emergency anti-Semitic bill because lately some groups have been projecting these symbols and these words of hate on buildings and city property without permission. It went on during a couple of the playoff games that we had here. So all of a sudden, the city council has an urgency to put these bills, before to make it law for these people to stop projecting this language and these imagery. But we still waiting. People of color still waiting for 2 years to deal with these Confederate monuments. And it was so divided where they set up two different bills was written by two different city council people. 2 different press conferences was conducted regarding this bill. There was no unity at all, and they wonder why people are so frustrated with them when they were voted in office and asked thought they was the right representation for their community. And the crime rate is going through the roof every day since 2023. Jacksonville has been having some type of murder, killing, some major criminal activity that's going on because people are frustrated because the people that are in office are not doing what the people of Jacksonville has asked them to do. So I get it. As a business owner, I have been trying to bring a lot of innovative things to our area, and they told me we are so divided. We do not play together in the same sandbox. And city council demonstrated that this month on this particular bill. That they had 2 bills, 2 different press conferences. They was posed. They was voting on it last night. I got to check on the update because they was still in the city council meeting last night to almost after midnight, dealing with all the other bills that's on the agenda for this year. And we're in the election for a new mayor coming up in March. So it's just so frustrating and so divided. So those of you that's want to do something, want change, you need to email your city councilman in your district. If you don't live in Jacksonville, let me give you the city council president. You can email him or call them and let them know they need to deal with these racial issues that's impacting communities of color. The current city council president is Terrence Freeman. His email is T as in Tom, FREEMAN at COJ.net. His office number is 904-255-5215. And you need to let them know they need to deal with those Confederate monuments before we get a new mayor. Because we are not, and they getting ready to work on a new budget, almost $1 billion budget. So we don't know if this new mayor is going to follow suit and do what the current mayor has already allocated money to deal with these Confederate monuments. So if you want to learn more, keep up with the story, our local news station is news number 4 Jax, JAX.com, or either CBS 47 Action News Jax, where you can get all the stories, or check it out on the YouTube channel as well. So that's the issues that's going on the local front. Also, there are civil engagement political organizations in our community. If you want to donate, if you want to volunteer, even virtually with social media campaigns, you can reach out to the Northside Coalition and Take Them Down Jacks. That's an organization that's strategically focused on taking down those Confederate monuments. And I'm quite sure they will be grateful for your help, your voice, and your petition. If you want to start a position, that would be good too on change.org, because we have to help each other. Communities of color in each state needs to help other states where this disenfranchisement and dehumanization is taking place. This want to erase people of color existence and their voice. We have to step up for one another. We can't sit around and wait for one person to do it. Dr. King, Fannie Lou Hamer, all those, John Lewis, all those people, they stood up and they did it, and they was a symbol for us. But they are not here anymore. And it's up to us, and we have to teach this younger generation on how they need to advocate and how they need to understand the sacrifice that our ancestors made. Dr. King, John Lewis, Fannie Lou Hamer, all those people, what they did for us to have the luxuries we have today. So we have to do our part. Can't just talk about it. You have to be about it. If you're not a public speaker, you can write. You can email. If you not working or you retired, you can protest. You can get your lawn chair, your tent, and sit out there with your sign and protest in front of the school, in front of City Hall, in front of the school board. There are things you can do to show up. Go to these city council meetings when they are scheduled. If you want to know, go to coj.net. That's the City of Jacksonville government portal. The city council meeting calendar is there. They also stream the meetings online, but if you stream online, you can't comment, you can't say anything. So sometimes it's good to show up in person, but go watch the meetings, get the information, email representation to let them do what they was elected to do, and not put their personal political agenda above the people that voted for them. So next up on that, and I know the world has been watching it, it is this stuff with Florida Governor DeSantis with this woke act foolishness and removing AP African American history from the high school classrooms. And what we need, and they already, the Moms of Liberty have already started this all-out war with banning books in public libraries. Recently here in Duval County, in Duval County Public Schools, they have told all the classroom teachers that they have to suspend using their in-classroom libraries until all their books are vetted in their classroom before the children can read. So now you're gonna press pause on children reading competencies because you want to make sure the books are appropriate. So we have to be the own solution for this issue and not let them dictate and determine what information our children of color are getting. So families of color, churches, black-owned businesses, barbershops, salons, everywhere where people of color congregate, gather, where we fellowship, we need to start our own libraries or community libraries with all these books they trying to ban, and filling them up with black, brown, indigenous, people of color books, so our children can get to understand other cultures through reading, so our reading comprehension level can stay as high and surpass, so we can be able to understand the attacks that they're doing, so our children can understand, so they can be able to recognize it without being bamboozled and taken advantage of, and to revert us back to slavery mentality. We need to start advocating and doing more book clubs, whether it's online and virtually, it's Sunday school. After we do our Bible stuff, we need to do our book club stuff about this reading. Our grandparents, the retired teachers, retired school administrators, they need to get more involved with these organizations to start some reading campaigns for these children. Spoken word poetry, those things that we need to be more impactful. And I know we love to be entertained, but sometimes at this juncture we got to do our part. There is no one savior. We are ourselves, our savior. Because if we do not stand up and defend ourselves, we're going to allow other toxic groups to come in and take over and dictate what our children can read, what they can listen to, where they can go, what places they will have access to, what places they won't have access to, what foods we supposed to eat. Y'all want that type of control going on? They wouldn't want nobody coming in dictating, telling them. So we have to be aware and be engaged. Also, LeVar Burton has started a podcast for children, actually reading those banned books to the children so they can have story time. That's another thing. If you don't have the time to do it with your kids, download the LeVar Burton podcast. Get you connected to your smart TV or a sound system, and let LeVar Burton read to your children and explain these stories to them. There are ways to do it. Even our daycare centers, we need to catch them and start early so they can understand what is at stake as they try to navigate life in this world. Now, the solution to that, Moms of Liberty, they have schedules of when they go to all these school board meetings to speak up and talk about banning these books. Where are the political organizations? You all need to come up with schedules and rotate. Roland Martin mentioned this on his show. If you not following Roland Martin, you need to, because he just exposed this in Houston with their school district of trying to fire a black female principal that was doing the right thing, turning the black high school around he graduated from. So download the Black Star Network to keep up with the news and the advocacy that Roland is doing where education is concerned. So for my political organizations, you all need to rotate and get a schedule and start going to these school board meetings, to these state board of education meetings, to these city council meetings. You need to show up in numbers, not one or two. It needs to be at least 20 to 30 of you all. Get you some t-shirts so it can show representation. A girlfriend of mine mentioned about the fraternities and sororities just wearing their colors, showing up, not saying anything but listening, because numbers and visualization makes an impact. You don't a lot of times have to say anything but just be present in the room, and then find out who's making the decisions and who's coming against things, so you can document and write them or schedule appointments with them or call their offices. We have to be more vocal. It is time out for sitting still and waiting for somebody else to vocalize what our needs and our concerns is. If you pay taxes and if you are a registered voter, both of them demands that you have growth in your community where you live, learn, grow, worship, and play. If you live in one community and you got to go be bus on, you got to work on the other side of town, that means all your hard-earned money is being invested in that community where you work, because you usually will go grocery shopping before you go home. You'll go shopping on your lunch break because you won't have time after work or before work. You're not investing those dollars back in the community where you live, and your community is ran down. Your city council representation is not making sure your neighborhood is clean. They not cleaning up the trash. They not cleaning up the city property that needs to be maintained. You got abandoned buildings. You got abandoned homes, because all your tax dollars are being invested in other communities where you live at. So you need to go to city council meetings and find out why your tax dollars is not being reinvested back in the community you live. We have power when we pay taxes and when we vote. Our taxpayer dollars paid for these legislative positions. Whether they are full-time or part-time as a legislator, we still pay them a salary. Don't get it twisted, and don't let them fool you. And if they don't may have the time to make for you, they have to report to somebody. Unfortunately, the governor in Florida could care less, because that is his preference. Despite that's not what he ran on when he ran for office back in 2016. So we have to do our due diligence, people of color, our black, our indigenous people, indigenous individuals, and people of color. We got to, I know we're working all the time, but you can email, you can tweet them, because these people are on social media. You need to go to the website, get the names, find them on social media, tweet them, inbox them, direct message them, call and leave voicemail messages. Full up their mailbox and their email box, because you have to make your voice heard. If you can't go, if you got retired people, parents, grandparents, they need to be showing up if their schedule is flexible and allowed. Well, I don't have transportation. We got Uber and you got Lyft. And some of the senior citizens, you all can do community transportation if it's available in your community. There is no excuse. It's time out for the excuses. We got to step up. So this is your host, Therese W. Gamble. This is my take on it. And trust me, I am doing my part between emailing, doing this podcast, notifying the school, my graduate school, the schools of education at these colleges. They need to be angry and standing up everywhere, because Florida has a habit when they do something and it get passed and it goes through, other states tend to follow. So you need to be careful. If you don't do anything now, this issue will be coming to a state near you. But last but not least, I'm so super excited to hear about Ben Crump the day 4 hours ago threatened Governor DeSantis that if he removes AP African American history, he is going to file a lawsuit against them. And they working with the college boards. That's another one. You need to be talking to emailing and calling the college boards about not altering or removing AP African American history in high schools. But they want them to learn AP European history. Come on now. So we got to do our part. So again, this is your girl, Therese W. Gamble, the host of Courageous Conversation. This segment on Theresa Take On It, dealing with local, state, and federal issues. Our social community news, dealing with black, indigenous, and people of color. Keep listening. Please share this podcast and catch us on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And remember, we will be dropping bonus episodes, so keep your notifications on. Stay safe and get involved.
You have been listening to Courageous Conversation with Lisa W. Gamble. You can catch us on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Subscribe and turn on your notification. Oh, by the way, Courageous Conversation with Theresa W. Gamble is on YouTube too. To stay connected, Season 3 in 2023. Do not be weary in well-doing. You shall reap if you faint not. Galatians 6:9. Produced by CRPC Now, media powered by Concierge Resource Professional Consulting, LLC.